What's up everyone, I'm Thanos, and today we're going to the Black Pine Lodge to meet the Maniac. So, let's dive into the box and see what's hiding inside. It's the summer of 1985 and a group of friends decide to spend the weekend seeking refuge from the heat at the Black Pine Lodge, a cabin immersed in the fresh pine forest up in the mountains, far from the city life of Crystal Country. As soon as they arrive, they sense that something is not right. A ghostly aura pervades the lodge and a strange presence seems to observe them. So, naturally, they decide to explore the house. It will only be when one of them finds a cursed mask that the real nightmare will begin. The Maniac is a terrifying horror game for 1 to 6 players in which you will try to survive the fury of a murderous maniac. But for a dark reason, this maniac could be you. There are 3 ways for the survivors to win the game. They must survive until dawn or eliminate the maniac or escape the Black Pine Lodge. The maniac wins if they eliminate all the survivors or any 6 characters. The game has a standard mode where during the game one survivor will become the maniac and a variant mode where the maniac is chosen from the start. It also features a solo mode for those who are brave enough to face the horror alone. Each survivor has their equipment and 3 special ability cards that they are used only by them. These single-use cards have 2 sides. If a survivor becomes the maniac, they flip them over and use them as special abilities for the maniac. The survivors can take up to 2 hits until they are eliminated from the game. They lie down their miniature and leave the stuff as it is, because they can be picked up by other survivors. The player then spends the entire night watching the others play the game and have lots of fun. No. They are still in the game, but they take a special character from among the sheriff if they have found the telephone to call the police, the predestined if they have found the CB shortwave radio, or the cameo, depending on who's available. But in that order: sheriff, predestined, cameo. Thomas Jarvis, known in town as Tommy, is the gamekeeper of Crystal Country and the only one who knows the secret of the curse that haunts the Black Pine Lodge. And that is why he considers himself the predestined. Unfortunately, years of isolation and his obsession with the story of the cursed mask have compromised his mental ability quite a bit. And this is the tricky part. The predestined can decide to play with the survivors, or might decide to go with the maniac and hunt down the survivors. Finally, cameos are characters who pass through Black Pine Lodge. They have no real purpose in life, in the game, but they can be very useful to the survivors, as the maniac will first attack the cameos and the survivors will have a chance to escape. Cameos can either be managed by the game, found when drawing search cards, or by a player when the survivor is eliminated. When managed by the game, during the revelation phase, they move, open and break down doors. Nothing can stop the cameos from moving, except for the maniac, of course, where they're killed immediately and removed from the game forever. When managed by a player, the cameos act as normal survivors, except they can take only 1 hit before being eliminated, and the 3 actions are played freely as opposed to the survivors who have to plan their actions at the beginning of a round. More than a person, the maniac is a dark presence possessed by a cursed mask that shows 2 faces. When you wear it, you are possessed by this evil entity which feeds off the negative emotions of its host. It awakens a murderous fury in the wearer, completely crushing the conscience of the unfortunate victim. At the beginning of the game, the maniac wears the mask showing the serene expression, but when they are hit for the first time, they turn it over to the angry expression. The player who controls the maniac may wear it during the game, but beware of the effect it may have on you. The maniac has a board where they note down their movement and statistics. The board consists of a map of Black Pine Lodge where the maniac writes down their movement and maybe the movement of the survivors and where they might be hiding. Depending on the expression they wear, the maniac will have a certain number of actions available based on the level they have reached. Each time the maniac kills a character, they must cross out a box on the gravestone, and this is how the maniac levels up. Each time the maniac moves, they secretly write down the number of the area they have moved to, and if there is a card symbol, they draw that many cards. These cards allow the maniac to perform special actions to facilitate their hunt. Finally, the maniac has a die for moving through the board and fighting the survivors. The game is played in rounds. Each round is divided into 3 phases. The first few rounds, called the Arrival at the Black Pine Lodge, will be an introduction to the story and will unfold slightly different from the others. There is no Maniac Phase since there is not a maniac. And instead of search cards, there are some welcome cards that will be used. When one of the survivors finds the cursed mask in the welcome deck, they are possessed by the curse and will become the maniac. They reveal their new identity to the other players and turn the special ability cards to the maniac side, replace the survivor miniature with that of the maniac, and take the maniac components and the mask. During the action phase, the maniac turns the hourglass and the survivors have to plan their actions secretly, all at the same time, before the last grain of sand falls. Each player chooses up to 3 action tokens and they place them face down on the action bar. Some cards allow players to perform extra actions. In this case, they place their tokens in their respective slots. The available actions are move, search, hide, repair, and stay still. They can also perform some free actions that we will discuss later on. For the move action, a survivor can perform 3 types of movement: sneak, walk, and run. When sneaking, players move to an adjacent area without making any noise and without revealing their position during the revelation phase. So they do not move their miniature on the board during the revelation phase, but they must remember their location. When walking, they move up to 2 adjacent areas and place their miniature in the destination area. When running, they move up to 3 areas, but also make a noise and place a noise token in the area right before the one they stopped. During the revelation phase, players will have to declare the path they have taken, including the areas they have crossed and their destination. Search. It's only possible to perform a maximum of 2 searches in an area. 1 search and 1 deep search. When a survivor performs a search in an area that does not have a search token, they draw 1 search card and place a search token in the area. If there is a token in the area, the survivor can perform a deep search and draws a card from the respective deck. This deck, among others, contains the key objects needed to activate the escape routes and win the game. After the search, flip the token to indicate that search is not possible in that area. If you perform a search, you will have to declare your position during the revelation phase and therefore make your miniature visible to the maniac. The survivors can hide in areas with the eye icon, which indicates that there are hiding places in that area. If the maniac is in the area where the character is hiding, the survivor rolls their die and gains a number of hiding places indicated by the result and secretly hide their miniature inside one of them. The maniac will have only 1 chance to find the survivor, choosing one of the possible hiding places. If they find the survivor is hit. If not, the survivor escapes and moves to an adjacent area of their choice. With the repair action, the survivors can open a bar door and use escape routes to escape from Black Pine Lodge. Finally, the survivors can use the stay still action to confuse the maniac about what they will do. Apart from the planned actions, the survivors have some free actions at their disposal, like climb a staircase, open, close, or bar a door and play a card. After all the survivors have completed the action phase, then it's the maniac's turn. The maniac can perform a number of actions based on their expression and level and plan their move in secret, writing down their final destination. If the maniac records the movement in a space that shows the symbol of a maniac card, they will draw that many maniac cards from the deck. Their miniature is only placed on the board if the maniac enters an area occupied by another character, and then we have an interaction. If, after the interaction with the maniac, the character is eliminated, the maniac places a corpse token in that area, a gravestone marker in the cemetery, and crosses out a box on a gravestone on the maniac sheet. If, during a later revelation phase, a character passes through or stops in an area where there is a corpse token, they suffer a fright, and the token is removed. When the survivors suffer a fright, their terror scale increases from normal to scared and then terrified. This makes them unable to perform certain actions until they recover from the shock, where the terror level decreases again. Revelation phase. First the cameos take their turns and then the rest of the survivors. Starting with the first player, each survivor carries out all their planned actions one by one and then the next player takes their turn. During this phase, the maniac watches the actions of the survivors. If at any time a survivor is in the same area with the maniac, they must intervene and we have an interaction again. If the survivor is moving through the area but not stopping there, the maniac declares their position and interrupts the survivor's movement. Both miniatures are placed in that area and the survivor attempts to get away. They roll their die and move as many areas as indicated by the result. The Maniac also rolls their die, and if they reach the survivor, they inflict 1 damage to them. If not, nothing happens. During this interaction, other characters cannot intervene, but both the survivor and the Maniac can use unlimited cards to achieve their goals. If the survivor ends their movement in the same area as the Maniac must reveal their position and start a fight. The Maniac rolls a die, and if the result is a mask, the survivor has been hit. If the result is a fist, the Maniac has been hit. If the mask they are wearing is on the serene expression, they turn it to show the angry one, and if it's on the angry expression, they lose the mask and they place the mask token on the board. If the 3 key objects required to annihilate the Maniac, mask, fetish object and holy weapon have been found, and the Maniac has no mask and is being hit by the Sheriff or the Predestined, the Maniac is annihilated, and the survivors who are still alive and those who have managed to escape win the game. If the Maniac is hit by a survivor, that survivor will steal the Maniac's identity and become the new Maniac with all the equipment and components of the Maniac. So, the switch rolls and the old Maniac will become a survivor again as the curse is lifted from them. When all players have taken their turns, the next round begins with the action phase. The finale. The survivors have 3 ways to win the game: resisting until dawn, which means surviving for 20 rounds. Annihilating the Maniac, which can be done only by the Predestined or the Sheriff, or escaping through an escape route, which are the car, the motorcycle, the hang glider, and running through the woods. To be able to escape, the survivors must recover the key objects needed for each escape route, go to the respective area and spend a number of repair actions. So for example, to take the car, 3 key objects are needed and 6 repair tokens for up to 4 survivors to escape. So, some survivors, maybe all, if they're able and lucky enough, might win the game. Well, this was my story of the Maniac. Until next time, take care and remember